Woo-wee! How about that heat wave? How thankful are you that your power grid was up and running and you got some of that sweet, sweet AC? Have you ever wondered if your power grid can fail? Have you ever wondered how your local community could benefit from the clean energy revolution? Well, today I have a bill that answers those questions. Welcome to another episode of Bill Track 50's Beyond the Bill Number. Sarah here, and today we're driving into the Energizing Our Communities Act, a follow-on to the Inflation Reduction Act. This piece of legislation was introduced by Senator Peter Welch and Representative Amy Kuster. It aims to bridge the gap between our growing energy needs and the reality of our current infrastructure. It's a really fascinating topic, so let's jump in. We all know that climate change is rapidly advancing. We can feel it every day. The effects are clear, they're present, and from the scorching hot summers to increasingly severe weather events, it's in our face all the time. NASA reported that 2023 was the warmest year on record, and it's no surprise that the urgency to act on climate change has never been greater. President Biden has set an ambitious energy goal for the US to achieve 100% carbon pollution-free power sector by 2035. This sounds great, right? But this target hinges on a significant boost of our transmission capacity. Now, what does that mean? Transmission capacity is essentially the amount of electricity that can be transmitted along a single transmission line in an electrical grid. Imagine it as the volume of power that can be delivered to your home through a network of power lines. Our grid can't handle the increased load from these new renewable energy sources that we strive to introduce to our grid, and we risk overloading the system. If we think back to the Texas power crisis of 2021, aka the time when there was rolling outages and it was freezing in Texas because they had to prevent their grid from crashing. People couldn't get access to the power that they needed to stay safe and stay warm because the infrastructure couldn't handle the demand. According to a study by the National Renewable Energy Laboratory, the US needs to nearly triple its current transmission capacity by 2035 to meet Biden's energy goals and our growing population. That's between 1,400 and 10,000 miles of new high-capacity lines each year, starting from, well, right now. This is where the Energizing Our Communities Act comes into play. But before we get there, let's revisit the IRA, Inflation Reduction Act, for just a moment. The IRA was signed into law in August of 2022. This landmark legislation focused on tackling climate change while also addressing economic and healthcare reforms. On the climate front, it represents a comprehensive approach to promoting clean energy, reducing carbon emissions, and fostering innovation. It allocates a whopping $369 billion to accelerating clean energy technologies, including wind, solar, energy storage, and grid modernization. The IRA also provides a range of tax credits and incentives for businesses and individuals who adopt clean energy solutions. It supports domestic manufacturing of renewable energy components and aims to create high-quality jobs in the clean energy sector. Importantly, it addresses environmental justice by directing investments to disadvantaged communities, reducing pollution, and enhancing community resilience to climate impacts. Now you might be wondering, how does the Energizing Our Communities Act fit into all of this? Well, the IRA is fantastic, but without modernizing our aging transmission infrastructure, integrating new clean energy projects into our current grids will be a challenge. This is where the EOCA steps in. The EOCA focuses on supporting towns, counties, and tribes that host Department of Energy-backed projects by providing automatic benefits from a dedicated fund. The main idea is simple. If communities support clean energy future by hosting a transmission capacity expansion project, they should directly benefit from their investments. Here's how it works. The EOCA places a small interest rate surcharge on loans for transmission projects that they receive from the Transmission Facilitation Program or the Transmission Facility Financing Program. This surcharge is then deposited into a Community Economic Development Transmission Fund, or CEDTF. Communities hosting these projects can then receive grants from this fund to support local economic development and outdoor recreation projects. The bill's main provisions include the creation of the CEDTF which is sourced from the revenues generated by certain DOE transmission development programs. The DOE would be required to provide hosting communities with a one-time award from this fund, distributed according to a yet-to-be-established formula. These awards would be distributed no later than 18 months after the construction of an eligible project begins, and communities can use up to 80% of their award for public infrastructure projects like hospitals, parks, broadband internet, schools, or workforce training. The remaining 20% of the award would be earmarked for conservation, stewardship, or recreation purposes. Again, investing into our clean future. It's a win-win. Communities get much needed infrastructure improvements and job opportunities, while we're also contributing to the national goal of a cleaner, more sustainable energy grid. What does this mean for our future, though? The Energizing Our Community Act represents a pivotal step forward in achieving the clean energy future that we all need, while also ensuring that the communities that go through implementing these projects, the resourcing, the permitting, all of that, directly benefit from their contributions. By investing in local infrastructure and conservation projects, the ECOA is not only facilitating the necessary expansion of the transmission capacity of our grid, but it also fosters sustainable and thriving communities. As we work towards our critical climate goals, the active involvement and support of all the stakeholders, especially the communities providing the space and resources for these projects, is essential. The EOCA ensures that these communities are not left behind, but are instead propelled forward with tangible benefits. Every step towards a cleaner, greener future counts, and together, we'll make the difference. Thanks for tuning in, everyone. And don't forget, you can get us anywhere you find your podcasts, as well as TikTok and YouTube.